Hey guys, and welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Cockings, and we are looking at Discovery ship today.
We are. It's a Klingon ship, and it's one of the most famous and iconic Klingon ships.
Yes.
And they've held true to form, and it looks exactly like it has all along. The Bird of Prey, everyone.
Yes. So we saw a Bird of Prey in the 2150s, and we saw a Bird of Prey in the 70s. Is that the TOS movies? So we know the before and after, with a huge chunk of time between. And in episode 2, we did actually see the Bird of Prey, and in the trailers, thought it might be Romulan, but it's Bird of Prey. But they call it out in this episode, and a squadron of 6 or so attack Corridor 2, and they also run simulations with a set of them attacking the Shinjo, but the Discovery. So we know they're a very common-ish ship, and we managed to get a few views of it throughout this episode. I've digitally enhanced the lighting so you can see more details. But Stuart, what is your reaction to the design of the Klingon 40s Bird of Prey?
Nope. That's my reaction to it. It looks like a fighter that I can picture from other franchises. You know, for some reason, Stargate comes to mind.
Well, the Death Glider, for sure. That's been the most common comparison, yeah.
That's what I see here. Now, interestingly enough, we have discussed the Bird of Prey before. We've actually done a full episode on it, an extended one, where it could be Romulan design. Maybe this is the Klingon Bird of Prey before the Romulan influence. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know.
Sure.
You don't like that, do you?
Well, again, Enterprise canon, the Bird of Prey is almost identical.
I know.
Very difficult. And we know that John Eaves was not responsible for this design. There's a separate chap that we'd love to talk to at some point, and he designed almost all the Klingon ships. And we haven't had a good look at any of them, but this is at least a little bit. So my first reaction was very interesting take. Difficult to get the real proportions of it, but if you look at picture 5, you can see that in fact the wing motif is still there. You've got the forward piece, and you've got a back engine piece, which is in fact pushing down, and then back on the first picture, it's actually pointing to the ground. So its primary impulse drive is like an anti-grav unit to hit the floor. But looking at all
when it's in an atmosphere, it wasn't an atmosphere during that picture, to be honest. So
true. And in picture 3, in fact, it has a smoke trail. Because Bird of Prey have smoke trails now in atmosphere.
It's ionizing some of the particles in the atmosphere.
Sure.
I mean,
that's interesting. I hadn't considered that, but if you go to picture 2, the engine drive is still sort of lower. It's not like directly back. But yeah, I mean, it has a winged creature motif more than the Bird of Prey does from Star Trek 3.
Yeah.
But
it seems very... Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was going to just say it seems very bat-like.
Yes.
Like a hooded kind of Romulan. It almost seems much more like a Romulan design than anything to me.
Well, if the impulse drive did click back up, it'd be a Riemann fighter, like a really cool strike fighter rather than Riemann shuttle. You know, like a bat. You know, they're using their heritage. But I'm having a hard time. I'm looking at it, and it's not exactly that small. It's the Discovery is a pretty large ship, but if you look at this first picture, there's no windows, there's no visible modules, bar the wings, the lit parts in the back. There's no docking ports. There's no. Well, there's no connections that I can see with either iteration of the Bird of Prey. There's no cannons. There's no forward section of the same context. There's a head. It looks like. There's no bird pattern on the bottom. There's no turrets on the wings. There's no. It's incredibly non-familiar design, and that's quite confusing to me.
Yeah, that's one of the main problems I have with it. Is it's just so out of the box, not only for Klingon design but specifically for a Bird of Prey, especially considering it's supposed to be prime timeline.
And basically, if you look at the timeline, this is almost slapdash in the middle between the other two designs. Almost in the timeline. This is the one in between. And if you're trying to draw a path between the two, I mean, there's an instant path between the two, Enterprise and
Yeah.
This one is such a... They're saying, this one failed, let's right-turn it. This one failed, let's right-turn it again, back to this. But it seems like this generation, this Discovery generation, is the era of failed experiments. All these design iterations that every race picked all get abandoned in favour of familiar designs. They all have styles that looked familiar in the 2150s, sorry. They made new designs, all got abandoned in terms of... Then we all went back a step. And stayed with that. So it's very odd. I mean, I like this first picture. I like the wings. I like how sharp they are. I like the grooves. It looks manoeuvrable. The back view then in picture 2 has a very different feel. That is basically Deathglide from Stargate, just a bit more sort of further down.
Yeah.
And then the picture 3. Then the wings look further down, crested, and the engine confuses me, and it looks like it's like a hover. It looks like it's sort of designed to stay like that and go forward rather than really fly.
Well, it could be a vectored thrust impulse drive.
But that seems so basic for the super advanced races. They just, I mean, the Discovery has just thrusters, and just have thrusters that just fire from ports. To have a device that needed to, that's so last gen, guys. Come on.
It would provide incredible maneuverability at warp speed, though, if you could vector an impulse thrust.
Is it warp speed or at
impulse speed?
Yeah, I suppose.
They can battle. That thing would be very maneuverable with a vectored thrust system.
But then, just like Voyager, it provides a new weak point. Or if that system fails and it's only locked in one trajectory, the more complicated you make a part, the more more like it's going to break. That's why
the more they overtake the plumbing, the easier it is to stop up the drain.
Yeah, that's why most impulse drives are just holes at the back.
Yeah,
that's the entire. That's the.
Well, maybe this was a new, like you said, a new experimental design that just absolutely didn't work for that very reason.
Yeah, but at some point we can't keep saying everything's experimental design.
I know that, but at some point we can't say that it's all doesn't fit in with TOS look because everybody's saying it's a redesigned look. Well,
again, there is no TOS look for Klingon Bird of Prey. There is no TOS canon. There's Enterprise canon, which is the most modern show with the most modern CG. Then you got.
But that's prime timeline, so that's what they're saying this is. And
sure.
People are going to knock us for saying, well, this is a new look. You can't compare everything to TOS. That's anyway. You know what I mean.
Well, I mean, a visual reboot needs to have links to Prime. That's why, at least with the D5 from J.J. Abrams, it at least you could see it as a Klingon design, if not a battle cruiser. If it was called out to be and I know in Star Trek Online they retcon it and say it's a D5 fighter variant, like it's down, it's a subclass, and it's like, okay, I can see that as a really unique, this line of ship design. It's a small fighter for ground combat. It's not meant for these other purposes. Okay, maybe it's got Klingon-esque feels. I mean, Pierre Droulet's Bird of Prey was infinitely better. I mean, it was like a same style, new take. I mean, he's a bloody genius in every respect. I mean, Pierre's a class act. Yeah. He's done a Discovery variant that several we both want to look at because they're pretty much spot on. But yeah, I mean, if you go to picture 4, we see 3 top views, which don't exactly look the same. They have a slightly different feel, but it provides a different perspective.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that was just lost in translation as far as the graphics department goes compared to what they finally ended up with for a CG ship. I can't imagine that by any means. Could be that these ships are reconfigurable. Like you said, 1 or 2 of the views look like a little bit different configuration as far as wing design goes. But there's no... If it follows the Bird of Prey design aesthetic, there's movable wing components and things. Yeah. It just might not be as visible in this take of it.
And since we know that the wings do affect the warp profile a bit as well, I think that is part of it, because the wings have warp stuff in them, I believe. Mm-hmm. That maybe the back module is the warp unit, then refines into stuff later on. I will say it's still relatively close to this top view, but it's certainly a different visible, it's not profile, but it's a very different look than you would associate with this design. Because it's so sort of 3D, and to represent in 2D is kind of strange. If you then jump to picture 5, that's when the right hand picture is very, very interesting. But what is this left hand picture?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh, okay, that's in your statement. Okay, no, I mean you could sort of say either it's the capital ship around it, like in orbit, because there is vaguely similar designs like that we see in the battle. Those sorts of long prongs.
Yeah.
My guess is it's a turret. That's the weapon system. Like it's saying, here's the ship, here's the weapon, and you're trying to analyze the weapon systems. If you look at the right hand side, there is a yellow half circle.
Yeah.
Near the back, which is, you could argue that's the zoomed in part of the yellow half circle in the front, the left hand thing, and that's more like the Enterprise version because that has turrets, but I certainly don't see them on the design anywhere. It's a very, very smooth ship considering it's smooth with like grates, like layered hull. It's not got detailing that I can see. I mean, we don't really see the front at any point, but
yeah. One thing that's interesting to me, if you go to picture number 4 and you see the shots of them from the top.
Yeah.
Now, I would assume that the top or the front of the ship is facing up on that display.
Yes.
What if you turned it around? Would you like that look better? I think that would be more appropriate for a bird of prey. But then again, it still looks more Romulan.
That would be more Romulan, yeah. I would get the impression.
But it looks more like a bird in like a dive, like a falcon diving kind of thing.
Yeah.
But because the other way just looks too bat-like. Well, the whole Klingon design aesthetic for Discovery is very odd and very different than what we're used to. So
it's very ceramics and building textury and dark colors and
it's just odd.
Yeah, it doesn't really relate to anything. Like you're trying to link it, and it's like, well, at least it's got the two wings pointed forward. Like at least it's still got. You know, you can still say, well, yeah, of course this is a bird of prey variant as opposed to Kor's ship. Okay, you can say that, but it's certainly very, very different. I'm trying to see the visual evolution link. I mean, now we know that even in the bird of prey, you know, the continuity of the bird of prey got so convoluted by TNG and DS9 and such, they had to make three versions of bird of prey just for it to make sense scale-wise. And in Star Trek, and obviously all Star Treks have problems with scale. We're not saying Discovery's doing it worse. If we were to re-review Star Trek 4 with them being 4 different scales, we would call that out. A mistake is a mistake and a problem is a problem. It's just that's obviously been 3 decades, and you can't explain the size problems of that bird of prey in that movie. You just can't. You got to ignore it, and that's fine. There are things like that in all these universes, but to just accept all the Klingon designs aren't Klingon designs is quite a large acceptance. Especially when they've all been designed, as opposed to, oops, we had to make CGI look different in different shots because we have one miniature. There's a very different reason.
Now, my question is, if you go to picture 1, this is actually the picture that most speaks bird of prey to me.
Yeah.
You extend that neck a little bit, make it just a little bit longer, and make like a bulbous head at the front. That would be kind of neat for a redesigned.
And if you did push the engine to actually point back rather than down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that really it makes it look very strange.
It does, absolutely. So I can see a bird of prey trapped in this design somewhere. It just wasn't imagined as well as I think it could have been. Now, I'm not exactly 100% sure that I remember where these things fire from. Do they fire from the wingtips?
I don't think they do. They sort of just shoot from. I get the impression, in this picture in particular, that potentially they fire from those 4 glowing green elements, inner wing cannons.
Yeah.
They're actually in the show a lot, but they're very far away and very, very dark, and they do shoot a lot of weapons. But we also see them shoot disruptors and torpedoes, so they have both. Well, they look very, very similar. And also in picture 8, we see them have a shield grid effect. Because actually Discovery does have, it's very difficult to see, a skin level blue shield module. It's just really badly masked by every time a shot hits the hull, it explodes in a fireball, despite hitting the shields. But there's a shield as there is here, which is nice to see. At least they have some shields, but they're really, really hard to see. So yeah, So we know. Yeah, sorry. We know that at the start of the season, the Discovery people were trying to console us in a sense by saying, this sarcophagus ship is incredibly old, so it's going to be radically different. Okay, great. Then we see the fleet of ships, and they don't follow any of the conventions, so that kind of breaks that. They're breaking their own rules with that anyway, with these bird of preys. Now, if it was the hyperold bird of preys from the sarcophagus ship, and we're seeing really just Takuvamar's flagship doing these assaults, you could sort of buy it as very, very rustic, like 500-year-old design. It's a one-man ship, cockpit ship, but it's big because it has to have all the technology. I could buy that. It's really, really old, but a fleet of ships destroys this blockade, and these 6 birds of prey, which are all identical, we assume, are the remaining ships. That's presumably going to be the best of the fleet. You're not going to send either old nor rubbish nor whatever ships to attack the 4/10 of the entire Federation, a galactic-wide empire, but without the empire part. You're going to send really good ships. So these are probably the state-of-the-art ones, and yet they look like ancient ships. Now I'm wondering if the production team said make everything look ancient in line with sarcophagus ship, and then someone forgot to tell them down the line, you actually need the new ones as well. It's like, oops, we kept the design in the ancient, and we swapped that later on, and everything sort of unfortunately suffered from that. I don't know.
That's interesting. I doubt that happened. I very much doubt that. Now, they have said, be patient with us. Everything's going to kind of line up with canon by the end of the series. Whether that applies to the Klingons as well, because, as I said, the Klingons are so out of the box in this. Everything about them, the way they look, the way their ships look, the way they act, even.
Yep.
It's just
their honor system or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And Peel did comment that the Duroses had no honor. It's like, yes, they were the ones that were famous for having no honor. Those guys were infamous for that. Not the Klingons as a race. Those few people.
Yeah. So it's almost like the Klingons are a new alien species.
Well, it's interesting. They seem to have lost themselves as a culture, which is ironic because they are trying to keep themselves. They're trying to keep being pure, and yet their culture has clearly been corrupted. Clearly, the infighting has hurt them as a species since Enterprise, and then by the time that the Cold War happens in TOS, we see more refined, more, able to speak clearly and better plan Klingons, and then by TNG, they've sort of devolved a little bit in terms of their, they're more aggressive and more whatevering, but at least they have a moral code for the most part, and honor again. It's weird that this time they seem to be such a dark, they've lost themselves, and honestly they need the Federation. They need some light they need some people to pull them out and say, guys, don't fight amongst yourselves, save your empire. Ruapenthe, you're screwing yourselves right now. Ruapenthe is being, damaged. Deal with that problem right now, then we don't have to save you in 50 years. I mean, I can just imagine what Gorkon and, Nicholas Meyer, the writer of Star Trek 6 and Leonard Nimoy, those Klingons are immaculate Klingons. Those Klingons are the best Klingons we've probably ever seen. And they're such a far cry from this Klingon,
Yeah. I think you mean Praxis, not Ruapenthe.
Oh, Praxis, sorry, Praxis. Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to clarify that for everybody. But yeah, I can see the comments right now. People are going to be like, guys, stop trying to make this fit into, this is the new look. We want an alien look for the Klingons.
Told us it's Prime, though.
I know, and that's what the point I was just about to make. Because I know what the comments are going to look like right now, because we've seen it very often. We're not that canonista that we want everything to look exactly the same, and we can't understand a visual reboot.
Well, the fact that we love the Shinjo shows that the fact that we love a lot of those secondary ships are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you tell us it's prime timeline in an established franchise, you've got to hold true to that a little bit, and that's where we're coming from.
Well, yeah, we haven't set the bar; they've set the bar, and they've set the standards by which to judge them by.
Yeah,
we're just judging them by
good and bad. Good and bad.
That's why in the JJ verse you can give a lot more leniency to the things going screwy because it's an alternate universe. It's had 30 years of its own evolutionary path. So it'll look an Apple story. It's a bit weird, but it's its own path. So we're reviewing it as we kind of understand ships and we understand ship design, and I can certainly see a bird of prey in this design, like you said, but it's definitely either a maybe based on the engine placement, the fact that it's pushed down, maybe it's a ground fighter subvariant, and that explains why Discovery can blow it away so quickly. A bomber version, but the problem is when you call it a bird of prey, I doubt. You know what I mean? If you've got a battle with 19 classes of ship, because they have a lot of classes in Discovery, and there's 7 things that the ships could say are bird of prey, and they each have different functions, I don't think Lorca and the crew are going to say, "Oh, 3 more birds of prey approaching, 18 more bird of prey." You know, it's like, but they're all do different things. Like you're going to be more efficient about it. You're going to say, "Well, we've divided them all to subclasses. We've given them names. It's like Katinga is our name, you know." Or whatever, those are all our names. So they would give them names and say, okay, this subclass attacking us, but this is the bird of prey, you know. It might have been a bird of prey of that battle, but when you set these, again, standards to compare it to the 2 that exist previously, it's like, ooh, I'm just surprised no windows, there's no scaling detail, there's no visible bridge detail, and again, I picked the best, cleanest screenshots.
Yeah.
There's no visible shuttle bay at the back, there's no weapon turrets, there's no...
And the feeling I got, and I've had all along with these ships, is that they are very small crews. Like, maybe like 3 to 6 people, and they're kind of more like a fighter than they are like an actual ship, because we don't really know the sizing here.
They're very difficult to work that out, even flying above them. They're certainly not as big by a long way.
And somebody's going to point out, well, Stuart, I mean, in Star Trek 3, the Bird of Prey was a scout ship, you know, maybe a dozen officers and men, so 12 at the most. So, okay, that's fine. At least, I mean, there's not really a lot of windows on a regular Bird of Prey, but you can get a feeling for scale at least, generally speaking. Like he talked about earlier, the facet designs, they had to come up with 3 different sizes of Bird of Prey. And we've seen many canonical errors about Bird of Prey size throughout TNG and Deep Space Nine.
It's the most universally got wrong thing.
Yeah, and we talked about that. We talked about that extensively in our full review on the Bird of Prey. So, but I think these are. I picture these as smaller ships, especially when you see them attacking the Discovery. When they're swooping in, they look very small.
Yes.
So, if they're more of a fighter design, that's fine, but. They're not Bird of Prey, guys. I'm sorry. And then it goes back to... This would be interesting, actually. Remember how we speculated that the Romulans gave T'Kuvma the cloak to kind of screw with the Federation?
Ooh.
What if they also supplied him with a bunch of their Romulan fighters, which the Klingons call Bird of Prey, and they already have their own Bird of Preys, and eventually they marry the 2 together to form the Bird of Prey that we all know and love from Star Trek 3.
See, this is such a more Romulan design. Like, this is not...
It's more Reman or Romulan than... Yeah, exactly.
The fact that we see so few Romulan ships, so few, because Enterprise, we see more Klingon ships in Enterprise, design-wise, than any other time in Trek history. We know exactly the Klingon aesthetic through cargo ship, through tanker, through warship, through battleship, through cruiser, a whole load. This would fit in very well in terms of, like, let's build something that isn't clearly Romulan, but still has our feel, because the Romulans love stealth, they love differences.
Yeah.
I could see us being more that design. But again, okay, as a design, I like it. Take away the Trek element, because a lot of people are telling us, we're watching the show as a sci-fi, not a Star Trek show, which is totally valid, because it is pushing a lot of those boundaries. I really like the shapes. I really like the wing pattern. I like the head, because from the single first frame, you can sort of see an eyes and a mouth, and it has got a bird feel. And I will call out a really nice little detail. When the ship gets blowed up in picture 6, there's actually a creature now going and dying to double on the Bird of Prey feel. I'm kind of like, whoa, which is a cool artistic decision, doubling up on that idea, because this looks a lot more bat-like than the Bird of Preys have ever looked. They are starships. This is fighter based on creature. And the one for Into Darkness is very clearly like a bird. It has a lot more of that sort of feel. They didn't just paint a bird on the hull and say it's a bird of prey. This is clearly a maybe based on a creature from their planet. And as a design, I think it's actually a really great design. I'd love to know if that back piece goes up and down, because it could be if it's efficient, that could be a really cool design piece. And it's very clearly a powerful thing. Although, to be fair, 6 hours to take out a shield. I mean, someone said to me, that's such a long time. It's the equivalent of a starbase shield. It's a mining facility's primary shield generator. It's gonna be able. It's there just to survive a bombardment. That's its one purpose. So clearly a long time. But you got to ask yourselves, what if a D7 was there to launch its big weapons? As opposed to these smaller birds of prey. maybe it wouldn't have lasted as long. Lucky they didn't. So yeah, cool design, very very like a Centauri fighter, very like a Death Glider from certain views. I would love to see a 3/4 like the way we do it, nice clean angle, and get a feel for some of the small details. I'd love to see the bridge module, see if it actually is a bridge module, like a proper feeling one, because it's so difficult to tell. Yeah, and I'm really surprised how lack of a sense of the entire shape we have, like all the little details from an entire episode of appearances, you know?
Well, if it wasn't for these screen grabs that you got, I wouldn't know what
Yeah.
it really looked like, because they're just so quick. They're quick moving, right?
Yeah, and thank
So
goodness
thank you.
that, and thank goodness that screen graphic that shows you the entire arrangement, how it's all flowy. Yeah, very interesting design and a radical redeparture from stylistically a Klingon design. So it's clearly it's a failed design, and it's one of the many failed designs of this era.
They may
You know.
explain it still, guys. We're hoping.
I mean, see, no thing is, these were seen before the war. You could have said this was the first new generation of warships built for the war. You know, rushed into service, different priorities, cannons only, and therefore that explains a radically different design. You know, we had to suddenly build this new thing. You know, wars create innovation, but then as the years progress on, these ships then become scout ships. You know, it becomes so cheap and easy to make it become scout ships, and the design really smooths out, simplifies, changes in focus. But it was there at the Battle of the Binary Star, so we know these are just shipbirds of prey of the fleet. God, it's tricky, isn't it, Stuart?
Mm-hmm.
But I like the design.
I think it's all right. I'm not a huge fan of it, and not just because it's not basing it on a Klingon aesthetic. I'm not a huge fan of the overall design. It's all right, but yeah, it's nothing that I'm really used to or like. So
There you go.
anyway, guys, what do you guys think of the design? Put it in the comments below. We love reading them, and look forward to all your thoughts and views on that. So also don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new Discovery talk, because there's lots to talk about. Also, if you want to join the conversation, you can head over to our Facebook page and join us there as well, because lots to talk about all the time.
Or support us in our basically daily videos at this point, analysing, discussing all the different parts of Discovery. You can support us on Patreon, which is a monthly donation service. Very, very important for YouTubers like us. It helps provide regular guaranteed income for us, which we rely on to pay all of our bills, to allow us to not get real jobs, or at least you only spend half time on a real job, and we spend time editing these shows for you to watch and enjoy every week. And we know a lot of you watch and a lot of you enjoy, so if you can support to make sure this keeps going, give a little bit each and every month, makes a huge difference. It really does. Or a one-time donation at trekyards.com, $20, $30, $40, just a thank you. Good job, guys. It all mounts up and it all matters, so thank you in advance.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Kongs.
Kapla!
Yeah. Bye, guys.